Here's the next one I've got. It's BMW X3. I've got the rear end jacked up, and we've got freewheeling discs, freewheeling wheels. I've just given it a good shakeroo, check all the suspension joints and everything, no play in it. Customer complains there's a vibration, and bearing in mind I've just been out for a test drive in it, and well, I can't feel any vibration. So we're in the BMW X3 now. It's done 90,486 miles, and I got the Thick Tub Pro S out because my launch is somewhere else. So we're using this today, and we'll have diagnosis, PDC transducer front right, PDC transducer front middle, so that's 2 sonars, central body electrics, nice, tilt sensor, theft, oh what have I done there, that was like, there we go. Instrument cluster's got a CAN problem, the radar's got a hardware fault, so that's the radio. ABS has got a no message from engine control unit, and then control unit under voltage, so the flat battery and steering angle sensor. So let's redo that. The steering angle sensor, maybe that's the noise he was getting, I don't know. I do not know. Anyway, what I will do is probably prop you up somewhere. Once I've taken it out to the outbound fallness that I'm going to go to. If I get the noise, then I'll set you up on the passenger seat and get the noise to happen so you can hear the noise. I am back. It is an hour late. I've been out for a long road test. Apparently this thing does it when it's hot, and it does. When you're just coasting in second gear, you can feel the car lurching. I can't have the camera on in a pedestrian area at low speeds when children could come out in the street and what have you. So I can't demonstrate. But basically, it's thudding. It goes donk 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 donk. I believe it's transfer case, and we will find out. So I'm going to start the process of taking the oil out of each one, bit by bit. One by one, start with the transfer case, and we'll work to the diffs and then to the gearbox and see where the pieces of metal fall out from. So I was lying, there's no noise, and it doesn't jerk you out of the seat when it tries to lock up. No, I can't get it to make it now. Awesome, just what you need, is it not? Just exactly what you need. So let's look at it from the so phase 2 of the situation. And obviously when you're working on your own and you don't want to damage customers' expensive exhausts, then you've got to think of a way of doing it. So you see the strap, you see that thin painted green there, that's a machine mover. That's what I put these machines on and move them. So that's why I call it a machine mover, because it's used for machine moving. Also, I'll just ratchet strap it to the bottom of the exhaust, and I can pick it up at the front, and it can roll forward and backwards to my heart's content. Not a problem. Really easy to move, light as a feather, no stress on the back, nothing. So I got that down on my own, didn't even scratch it, which is obviously a bonus. Everybody wants to do that, but not everybody achieves it, and I've achieved it here nicely. I was worried about leaving a DPF out there jacked up overnight, but any prospective thief will have just found themselves an empty DPF can, because someone's definitely cut that open. Wouldn't it be funny if someone took that off and they were doing the cutout, but they made a mistake in orientation and cut it out from underneath? I bet someone's done it. Right, yo, I'm just going to move around the other side and I'll start taking the under trays off and we'll see what we find. My prize, the prop shaft is okay. Well, there's one thing for sure, to do either the prop shaft or the differential, sorry, to do the transfer case or the differential, the prop shaft's going to come off, so it's coming off right now. Right, I'm in the X3 now, no exhaust, no prop shaft, I'll show you in a second. I can't feel any play or massive backlash in the differential, play or massive backlash in the transfer box. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's the ABS system that's triggering the four-wheel drive X-drive system to engage and disengage because it doesn't know what it's happening, doesn't quite know what's happening at low speeds. Now I've looked at the rear sensors and I know the sensor on the driver's side of the rear is a little bit corroded. The one on the passenger side is absolutely pristine. So this is what happens. I started up, bear in mind, back wheels are in the air, front wheels are just touching, and I'm on 4 axle stands. So foot on clutch, just in case. So I'm in second gear, and I'm going to let the clutch out. I'm hovering over the brake pedal just in case I don't want to fall off the axle stands. So there we go now, we're now rolling, okay? So the car would think, you know, okay, the back wheels aren't turning around, maybe something's happening, but I'm now going to put my left foot over the brake pedal and then just touch the throttle. Yeah, and it stalls straight out. I put my foot on the brake straight away. So it instantly engages the front drive shaft, the front axle. I haven't checked the front axle yet, I'm going to have to go and check the front axle now. So what I'm thinking is, at low speeds, the passenger side rear ABS sensor is sending a signal to the four-wheel drive system to engage the front axle. At that point then, there is a problem with the front axle, probably. It tries to, I don't know, or it engages the front axle is perfectly fine, it's a little bit, and it jumps straight back out again. I don't know, but it feels pretty bad. But that feeling I got then, the judder, that's exactly what I was getting at roadside. I mean, the transition from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive should be seamless, which is pointing towards the transfer box. So what I propose to do now is leave the exhaust off, leave the heat shields off, put the prop shaft back on again, disconnect the X-Drive servo module, and then go for a road test and see if the problem's gone. If the problem has gone, then we've only got front differential, transfer box, and ABS system. I think the ABS system is going to be what's engaging it, doing it, or transmission control module, or whatever. Alright, I'm filming underneath here, feeling like a person with flu. So I've used a piece of 25mm square bar and I've shoved that into the gearbox mounting underneath a bolt which goes into the back of the transfer box, and that was just enough to hold that spanner to stop it from turning, so I didn't put any undue pressure onto the rubber. And these rubbers, I'll finish that now so I can take that out of the way. It's probably all going to drop on my face. Oh, and that's going to spin around and do many things. So let's get that out. I don't know what you saw of that. It's just all loose. Get that out of the way and then get that out. Now these rubbers, I've got arrows on them. So if you're wondering, you see that arrow? That arrow must point towards the face that is going to be tightened against. So the prop shaft is back on. I'm going to slip it into second gear again. Again, hovering over the brake pedal just in case. And now we've got some speed movement. And it's not jumping, lurching. I'm going to leave it for a second. Then I'm going to come across the other side. Just in case it lurches. Bring the speed up a little bit. Yeah, it's done it again. So, that's what I think it's doing. Well, I don't know how good this is going to be for you. I've got wheel speed sensors on this. I don't know if you can better see that or not, probably not. We're going to be recording it anyway. So I'm pressed record, we are recording. And I'm starting the road test, so here we go. Fingers crossed everything stays on. We're not going to be going fast, it's just going to be second gear, because I like to do it in second gear quite regularly. Down to third. Down to second. Just give it a bit of throttle. Bit off, bit of throttle. No, it hasn't done it. Oh, it did it then. It did it then with the clutch down. I felt it doing it then with the clutch down. So, going with the evidence, we decided, or I decided, we'll drop the diff oil out. It takes 0.9 of a litre. That's about, I think that's what Americans call a quart. It's about a litre, just under. The transfer box is supposed to take 0.8 of a litre, so it should be, you know, up here somewhere, but it isn't. And there is no external visible leaks. So now I'm going to check and see if I take the level bung out of the gearbox, that amount of oil comes out of it. You know, that amount there. Maybe you can see more now, I don't know. Oh, that was a positive crack off. Right, so this is the level bung, so there should be nothing or not a lot come out of this. Literally nothing or not a lot. The drain pan is underneath it, just in case. It's a gusher. It looks like a fill plug, so that's good. Doesn't look like a detent, doesn't feel like a detent. And nothing is coming out of that, so we're not worrying about the PTO in particular, because in general what you would generally do is fill up a gearbox until it pisses out of that hole, and then put the bung in quickly while it's still pissing out a little bit. Or some from the factory, they just put the factory amount in, which will be probably just be like a gnat's cock underneath that level. So what I'm saying is there's nothing coming out of the transfer box back here into the gearbox here. You can see those two bits here. So this is where the transfer box starts or ends, whatever you want to say, and this is where the gearbox starts or ends. So this is the flange here where it starts. So if the seal was gone, I'd have to take out the bolts around here and then just take that rear section, which is the transfer box. So that's supposedly good. So it's supposed to have 1.6 litres in it, and yeah, it's about 1.5 litres in there, so that's doable. large chunks of either bronze bushings or chunks of bearings or chunks of shafting or chunks of gear in here. And any of those 4 items, so we've got the front differential, the rear differential, the transfer box and the gearbox drain now, and there is nothing in there, but the rear brakes to pieces, they're not grabbing. So something, when you're travelling, when it's warm, you have to get quite warm to make it do it. When it's warm and you can be driving along and slowing down, then you'll notice it. Obviously at high speeds I don't think you're going to notice it, but it's probably still doing it. But when you're slower, you feel it because the car judders. And you can be in gear or you can be in neutral rolling and it does it. So if you're in neutral and rolling, the differentials will be turning at the rear, and that will be turning the prop shaft up to the transfer box. Same with the front differential. The differential will be turning. I'm just going to make sure, and that will be turning the prop shaft. I'm just going to get under and make sure of that. So there's going to be a number of gears inside the transfer box which will be rotating amongst each other, and that was low in oil for a start, at about 2/3 of what it's supposed to have inside it, and it came out black. So I'm going that way. Plus I've talked to someone who knows about BMWs. So this is an X3. Okay, it's this shape, X3. There you go. And they've reliably informed me that if you cheap out, I should say, or I shouldn't say, let's say if you had a puncture in this tyre and it was unrepairable, but the other side tyre was almost brand new, you wouldn't change a pair, would you? You wouldn't. That'd be pretty stupendously stupid. But apparently if you put mismatched tyres on this system, so let's say you had lots of tread at the rear, little tread at the front, and maybe an offset as well, what happens is that transfer box doesn't like it, and that transfer box mashes the oil up pretty badly, and that's what happens on these. So, and apparently just a gearbox oil change, a transfer oil change, will sort out all these problems. So, although it's took me a long time to check all these bits and bobs, and there is a couple more checks I could do. So what I wanted to do as an extra was, I wanted to take the drive shafts out from the front, remove the CVs, both inner and outer, from the shaft, leave the shaft in the workshop, put the 2 CVs back into the units, one side into the differential, the other side into the drive flange, and then go for a road test with the front differential not engaged, just to discount the front section completely. And then if it would, or if I could, engage the servo completely, either just do something to engage it and then go out for a front wheel drive test doing the same thing at the rear. That's the only other thing in the extra that I would do. I will suggest it to the customer, but I think the best way is, because the amount of labour involved in doing that, the best thing to do now is put some oil treatment into the transfer box, put some fresh oils into all the other, or I can reuse the other oils because I've used clean containers, depends what he wants to do. I'll ask him. I'm going to advise fresh oils with a gearbox treatment, with a transfer box treatment, and road test. If it's still causing a problem, then I'm going to suggest the drive shaft out method of getting rid of both differentials as the problems. So I've inserted most of a bottle of Xenix 1 micro treatment, about 700 millilitres of 750 millilitres, no, 650, no, 700 plus 40 on that, so that's bringing it up towards the 800, which would be a dry fill on it. So that's definitely got enough oil in it now. That's for the transfer case. Gearbox oil, gearbox oil, gearbox oil, gearbox oil. So that's 0.9 for the rear diff, 0.8 for the front diff and 1.6 for the gearbox, plus I put the 5%, which is what it recommends for gearboxes and transfer boxes and final drives. It says 5%, so I put 5% in all of those of that. So we've got gearbox at 80 millilitres, and then the front and the rear diff at 40 millilitres, and 40 mil in that. That's 40, 80, 120, 200. This comes with 250. As you can see, there's about 50 millilitres left. So I measured it all. It's all in there. Fingers crossed. His unusual lumpiness at low speeds is gone. Right. We're doing the road test after the oil changes. So it goes. First gear feels a lot better. We weren't even worried about the gearbox, are we? First gear feels so much better, it's unbelievable. It's like sleek. I've already driven it off the drive. So not perfect, but definitely better. So the next stage in the X3 is I've taken the front prop shaft off, and we're going to go for a test drive and see if we can eliminate the transfer box entirely. It's a chain driven type transfer box, and this will stop transfer box from turning on the unpowered side. I don't think it's going to stop it, but hopefully it is just the chain inside the box which is causing all these problems. The oil mess was in the transfer box. This is it. So this has been sat for about, I don't know how long, upside down, and as you can see, I should do this test on all of them. So there you go. It's not all that bad, is it, eh? Apart from being completely mashed and black. Stuff went in was golden and nice. So as suspected, I'm going to try and block out the ridges I'm going out. The X3 is going to be good with a transfer box in it. So will I get the job for a transfer box on it? I don't know. I do not know. But this weird sensation, slowing down, transfer box. It does feel, when you think about it, like a chain stretch, so I'm suspecting the chain is riding up on its gear, just about slipping and slipping back into position again, because it can't slip that far, and it's like about a 5-piece chain inside these gearboxes, transfer boxes. So if I get the job, I'll show you me fitting it.